Yes, I'm here, and in fact, I'm live, guys, today, October the 30th, 2015, guys. So, hey, on a Friday, come on and join and watch Real Talk with Monica live, guys. I'm excited, and yes, I'm wearing my pink in support of breast cancer awareness, guys. And guess what? It's a treat, guys. Look. Trick or treat might be on Saturday, but guess what? You have an earlier treat with me. And guess who I brung in? This distinguishing colleague from St. Mary's Hospital. Yes, the one and only Dr. Miriam K. Pizzani. Not only Dr. Miriam K. Pizzani is a colleague for St. Mary's, she's a full-time professor at MCV. I'm sorry, guys. I just got so excited, guys. I've been running around on adrenaline for the day because this is the first episode I have done in a long time, guys, live. So I'm excited. Let me introduce you to Dr. Miriam K. Pizzani. Welcome to Real Talk viewers, Dr. Pizzani.
Thank you very much, Monica. It's so nice to be here and to talk about depression, which is something I deal with every day.
Wow. Tell the viewers a little bit of background of yourself. How long you've been in your profession?
I've been practicing 35 years, and I went to Vassar College as an undergraduate, which is in Poughkeepsie, New York, and then I went to Medical College of Virginia. I also picked up a master's degree in French at Rutgers University, and then I went to MCV to do medical school, which was great. Then I did a residency in psychiatry at MCV and a fellowship in child and adolescent psychiatry at the Virginia Treatment Center for Children, which is on North 10th Street in Richmond.
Wow. If somebody was to get into the field of psychiatry, what's the average time that is spent to get in that field, would you say, for a person that was interested?
About 12 years.
Wow.
Well, you have to go to college for 4 years, and then medical school is another 4 years, and then if you do a fellowship in psychiatry, like I did, that's another 2 years in child psychiatry. So it's about 12 years.
Wow. So what made you get into the field of psychiatry?
Well, it's a good question, but my father was a psychiatrist. He's passed away, but he certainly motivated me a lot because he saw patients in New York City and part-time at our home in Forest Hills, New York. So Forest Hills is well known because the tennis matches used to be there, and we used to live near that stadium, and the patients came to my home to see my father, and I opened the door for them sometimes. And one time on a Saturday, my father wasn't there. So his patient came to the house, and my father was not there. So I didn't know what to do, so I just entertained her like she was a guest. I brought her some food and something to drink, and we chatted for about an hour. She was probably my first patient. But then my father came home, and he took over. But that was probably my first patient, but I really enjoyed talking to his patients, and I enjoyed knowing what he was doing all the time. And he was a great psychiatrist, so he inspired me a lot. And then Dr. Joel Silverman at MCV was my teacher, and he's chairman of the psychiatry department at MCV.
Wow.
He was very inspirational too. Joel Silverman has just helped me so much with my practice, with everything. Anytime I have a question about anything, I can call Joel.
Call Joe?
Yeah. He'll answer it, and he'll tell me what the right thing to do would be.
Well, that's great because you always want to have some type of mentor, and like you said, even so many persons, and even in that promo I did about you was a part of the top doctors, and even with you, of with your accomplishments and your achievements, and you still look up to certain people. That's still a great thing to even to have, and that inspiration. I hope viewers that look at this show can get inspired and might want to get in the field of psychiatry, because
It might, yeah. It's a great field. I've enjoyed it tremendously.
Mm-hmm.
And I also had a science teacher in 7th grade, believe it or not. And she's my friend now.
Wow.
Like, she calls me, and I talk to her about her family and her problems. And sometimes she has health problems, then I get my husband involved. He's an internist. So he answers her problems and her questions, and the two of us help her. And she was a big inspiration for me when I was in 7th grade. This is when you were about 14. She got me so interested in science that, you know, to go to medical school, you have to take a lot of science.
Right.
So I took a lot of science so I could get into medical school. And if it wasn't for my teacher in 7th grade, Mr. Rafali, I don't think I would have gotten so interested in science.
Well, Mr. Rafali, we thank you, because we got this wonderful doctor here today. But and moving forward with that, a lot of people wanted to know, why did I wanted to pick depression as a topic, and I'm so glad to have you honored to speak about that. Was that a lot of people don't know, as an African American, I suffer with depression, and a lot of people say, oh, you look glam, you're doing this show now. A lot of people don't know a lot of adversities that I had battled with. But my colleague, Mike Verazia, you didn't check it out on YouTube, check out, he had a great segment last week on Comcast Public Access Network. He did the taping, but it's on his YouTube channel. He made a good topic about that being in the African American community, about depression. But it's not just an African American issue, but it should be an issue for everybody to talk about depression. So I wanted to talk about that because I faced that, and it's like, okay, Monica, well, why you want to talk about that? You kind of spilling your stuff. No, I'm not. It's about, we need to talk about certain things and what challenges and what defeats. If I lay in the bed every day and don't let stuff get to me and get depressed, how can I move forward? So that's why I brought this colleague out here to move me forward, because I had to get advice from Dr. Pizzani. And some people don't know, if you don't, is that sometimes you might need to speak to professions that can help you, because you need guidance. And I tell anybody, go speak to somebody that's in the professions. And this is a great woman, and I'll tell you something, man, she said, Monica, I said, you're well liked on Facebook. She said, you put me on Facebook? I said, yeah, I put the preview. They said they love you. You need to see a doctor. If you're battling with anything, depression, alcoholism, anything, a bad marriage, anything, you need to see a doctor. So that's why I wanted to talk about depression. And I brought this wonderful doctor out here to talk about it. So, Dr. Pizzani, how do you treat depression as an expert in your profession?
Yeah, there are a lot of different ways of treating it, because there are a lot of different types of depression. Some depression is genetic. So people are depressed because their mothers or their fathers were depressed, or their grandparents were depressed, and they inherited the gene. So they didn't do anything to try to inherit it.
Right.
They just inherited it. So that's why they're depressed. Then many people don't have the gene, but they get depressed because of situational events.
Right.
Like maybe they got fired from their job, or they got divorced, or they're having marital problems, or problems with their boyfriend or their girlfriend.
Right.
Or their boyfriend or girlfriend breaks up with them suddenly without warning.
Right.
That could be very depressing for them. So they tell me about those things, and then I prescribe antidepressants for them if I think that would help them. So there are a lot of antidepressants that are available now.
Okay, now another thing about antidepressant, it could be abusive. Now, when you say antidepressants now, is it a case-by-case situation? You look at the individual, is it safe mechanism? Because some people can overabuse that and get into another addiction, is that correct?
Yes, correct, but most people do not get addicted to antidepressants. They're not usually addictive. So you don't have to worry, I don't have to worry about that so much. But I do, in answer to your question, it depends on the patient, what they might need. Like there are some antidepressants that work via the neurotransmitter, norepinephrine. Those are the older antidepressants that we were using like when I was a resident or when I was in medical school many years ago. But we still use them sometimes. And now there are more antidepressants that are based on the neurotransmitter serotonin. And I have a mnemonic for the neurotransmitters. They're tyrosine, dopamine, norepinephrine, and epinephrine. And my mnemonic is to diet, do not eat. So tyrosine is to, diet is antidepressant, dopamine, and do not norepinephrine and epinephrine. Eat would be epinephrine. But those are the neurotransmitters that we usually are worrying about. And many people are depressed because their norepinephrine levels are too low. So we have to give them an antidepressant that will raise their norepinephrine levels in their blood.
Do you see the depression getting so bad, like the suicide rate? You know, you have to get it treated. Is that correct?
Yeah. If people are suicidal, they may need to go to the hospital just so they don't kill themselves. So that there are nurses and mental health technicians and doctors there who will keep them from committing suicide. And I had a patient recently, very recently, who told me he was really suicidal, and I told him he needed to go to the hospital. And when I mentioned the word hospital, he just walked out of my office and left. So I called him early this morning to find out how he was doing. I spoke to his wife. She said he was doing a little bit better, which is good. But he doesn't want to go to the hospital. Some people don't want to go, but there is a mechanism where people like me can court order them into the hospital. We have to call a judge or a judge advocate and get a court order to get a temporary detaining order, which means they go into the hospital even though they don't want to. It's against their will, but they're court ordered to go into the hospital, and then they get the treatment they need in the hospital.
Do you see that time delay? I think it was I forgot. Is it Craig Dees? It was somebody. It was a political official here in Virginia almost got killed by his son. I think he committed suicide.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and so it was something similar like that.
Yeah, I remember
and
that.
I think it was a long delay in getting him to a mental institute. They didn't have I think it was a long waiting list to get him into the medical institute.
Well, they're the mental health clinics in Virginia, like all the boroughs, all the parts of Virginia, like in Richmond, there's Richmond Behavioral Health, which is a mental health clinic in Richmond, downtown Richmond, like where we are right now. Then there is one in the West End, in Henrico County Mental Health Clinic, and then there is one in Chesterfield Mental Health Clinic, and then there's one in Hanover County, the mental health clinic there. So most of the counties have mental health clinics, and you can get on the waiting list if it's really very serious. You could have your doctor call. They'll get you in sooner.
Okay.
Yeah, and they try to help people. They have mainly social workers and psychologists who help people at the clinics. And if they feel you need a psychiatrist, they will call in a psychiatrist.
Wow, this is a great topic, and you know, I hope people is out there listening, and if they feel that they want to call, please don't get embarrassed. And if you want to get Dr. Pizzani's information off camera, contact information, we can provide that with you. If you want to call 915-5202, and also this information will be put up on my YouTube channel, Real Talk with Monica, and I will have Dr. Pizzani's information up where you can seek counseling or private counseling if you do, because I know that this is a private issue that some people might want to see, and that sometimes I know that this is a serious topic, and if you need to get help, go see someone. it's not easy, and you need to get counseling. There's nothing wrong if you have a family member, you have a co-worker, or anybody out there, just call. If you got concerns, you can pick up the phone and call people, because this is a serious topic, and it's like if every time I look and I see something on the news, is always related to some type of mental illness or something that's related. And it's like, wow, why nobody picked up the phone and they saw the red flags. And I think you made a good point when you said genetics. And a lot of people didn't connect that. And a lot of people are doing a lot of genetic testing now.
Right.
To see if that gene.
If they have the gene.
Yeah.
And you can even do it like in a doctor's office, like in my office. You can get a test done where we swab your cheek, and then we swab both cheeks with a big stick, and it's
almost
soft,
like a DNA type.
We could get DNA by swabbing the cheek, both cheeks. We put it in a test tube. We send it to a lab.
Wow.
And then we get the results. Like either their person is not depressed at all, or they're slightly depressed, or they're very depressed. And whether it's biological or not, it will tell us. But when we get the results, we'll know. So, that helps us a lot, because we can find out if it's genetic, or if it's biological, or if it's just situational. Like I saw a man today who told me that he knew he was going to lose his job. I won't say where, but he knows that he might lose his job. And then his wife lost her job. So then he's worried about financially, what's he going to live on if his wife loses her job and he loses his job? What are they going to live on? They have 3 kids. So, that's situational, but that can cause a lot of depression.
Yeah. And I think a lot of times people are scared to talk about this. They'll see it, and it's just like I watched the AA segment. A lot of people be scared to call, and they try to secretly get help afterwards. So I understand why some people don't want to call. They be embarrassed if somebody hear them calling. They might know their voice, so they want to get the help afterwards, because it's almost like a dirty little secret that people would be embarrassed to see them at a doctor's office getting some type of counseling. I don't know if you remember the show The Sopranos.
Oh yeah, I do. I remember, because there was Psychiatry on the show. And Tony Soprano, who was a murderer, he went to a psychiatrist to get help because he couldn't murder anymore. He forgot how to murder. So he had to get help in learning, getting up enough courage to murder again.
Yeah.
And that was a good show.
Yeah, it was almost like he was, like how he gonna be a boss, and he was in his relations with his mother, and he was, all this things was going on with his life, but he was still ahead of this big mafia thing. And then people was like, and he was keeping a secret, he was going to see this doctor. And it was almost like, that's how it's like a dirty secret to see a doctor for help. If you need it, you need the help. That's how
Correct.
I still think that's, some people see that as it's like there's something wrong with that. And let me give a big question I want to bring up to you, Dr. Pizzani. I have a picture of my grandmother. I put that right there. And some people were saying to me, was like, why would you want to remember or keep something of your grandmother? And I said, and you know what? And I love it. Ben Carson, he's running for president. Yeah, presidential Republican. He gave homage to his mother. He was crying on stage, and he was saying that he was broke, poor, and he said every day he thinks about his mother. Now, is that something wrong? Is you depressed or something if you still wants to care about a loved one? It's not saying that, you would love to see him, to have him here, but that is a significant person, just like you have brung up, like your parents, like it was somebody.
My father.
Yeah, your father.
My father was a psychiatrist.
He was a psychiatrist.
Yeah.
Like, why I ain't never get that. Why would somebody think that if you pay homage to a family member that was a positive role model in your life, what is wrong with that?
It's great. There's nothing wrong with it. It's great. I love both my parents. I was blessed with two wonderful parents. And my father was a psychiatrist. He was a wonderful man. He always encouraged me in everything that I wanted to do. When I went to college, he said, I said, what should I major in, Dad? He said, major in something you love.
Right.
So I loved French at that time, so I majored in French. I became a French teacher. But I was inspired by my science teacher in 7th grade, who was a great teacher, and I wanted to be a teacher of French as good as she taught science. So, as well as she taught science, and I think we all need role models, as you said earlier. We all need role models, and I know I've had my role models that have made me the way I am today. It's a good thing to have role models, and I think it's great to have good role models. And you know, I was fortunate. I had really great role models, like Mrs. Rafali. Josephine Rafali was my science teacher. I speak to her like about once every 2 weeks. I'd say maybe once every week. She'll call me now if she has a problem.
Oh, wow.
A problem with one of her kids or whatever, her life. She'll call me and tell me about it.
But look, it's like you giving back to what she gave to you.
Exactly.
When she's giving, it's almost like paying it forward.
It is.
That is wonderful, because I think a lot of people don't see that. They don't see that. They don't see that, and I love that, and I'm glad you brung that up, because, you know, and I'm glad I brung that notion up, is that look at that man Ben Carson today, and you know he's a doctor. I know we're not gonna get into politics, but you know it just made me think about that notion about paying to something in the craft, and look what you're coming up to, another thing. That's just a good thing. Another thing I wanted to do is about talking about depression. Good books. Good books can also help you get you out of your depression. I went to meet an author. She's a local author here in Virginia State. I want to give her a little praise up. It's a Real Woman, Real Talk. Ain't that funny? Real Talk with Monica. But it's an author name is Dr. Pamela Walker Johnson. I want to make sure I get it correctly. But I met her at the Fairfield Library, and she's a professor at Virginia State University. And she wrote this book during tragedy. And what happened was, now she's an author, she's on radio, and look what God has brought her. And I told her a little bit about my story. And I told her that one day I want to become, if God blessed me, an author. So I wanted to talk about how books can also help you. And then I heard this one woman was talking about, she was battling depression in a sense. And she said this book had helped her. So I started reading. I ain't finished it yet. But it's almost like an Oprah book club moment. Yeah, but books. Do books help you battle depression?
Oh, yes, they do, definitely. And well, my husband is here, but he's in the waiting room, but he knows that I always have a book. Always. I always have to have something to read. I read a lot of novels, but you know, some people say, well, novels, they're fiction. But you can learn a lot from novels, too. Because in some of the books, there's a tragedy, and then they have to deal with the tragedy, and then they overcome the tragedy. And then I won't buy a book unless it has a happy ending.
Yeah.
And so I know the book has a happy ending. You know which authors have happy endings in their books. So I pick authors that are bestsellers, that win awards for their writing, but that also have happy endings. I don't want to see a movie if it doesn't have a happy ending. I see a lot of movies. My husband and I are movie-holics. But yeah, but we also like happy ending movies with a happy ending.
What's a good movie?
Well, I'm trying to think. Let's see, we've seen so many.
Yeah.
We've seen so many. But some of them are based on, like in one of the books I'm reading now is by an author named Nicholas Sparks. And his books usually end happily. And there might be a love story in there, but there might not be. But A lot of movies have been based on his books.
Right.
And he's such a popular author that, his books have become movies.
Yeah.
So I just really like to read his books. And so even my husband knows that I like him. So he buys me books by him.
Okay.
I'll go to the bookstore and he'll give me a book. And I'll say, oh, look, it's by Nicholas Sparks. He knows that I like Nicholas Sparks. So therefore he buys me books by Nicholas Sparks. And some people want jewelry. I don't really care about it. It's one of my patients as a teenager said, it's not what people give you. And she's talking about boys.
Right.
She's a teenager.
Right.
It's not what boys give you. It's the way they feel about you and the way they treat you.
Right.
That's important. And I've been blessed because I have a wonderful man that I love and he loves me, and we treat each other with a lot of respect.
I can tell.
So I'm just so blessed.
I can tell. You're smiling.
Oh, yeah.
And you full with jewelry, too.
Oh, yeah. I have a lot of jewelry. Yeah, I like jewelry.
On another notion about that, happiness. How do you get your happiness back? Now, when you say you're blessed to have a good companion, now, I know we're talking about depression. A good mate can help. Can help you get out of depression as well. Yeah.
If you have one that understands that you're depressed and they want to help, if you have somebody like that, then they do help. Then they can help you a lot. And they can help a lot. And I treat a lot of married people and some single people, but they get a lot of support from their family.
Right.
If they're happily married, they get a lot of support from their husbands or wives, and that's really important.
Right.
And I'll say to somebody, patient, like, I met your wife, and she really loves you a lot, and she really cares about you a lot, and she's really worried about you because you're depressed. And he'll say, well, she doesn't really care about me at all. So I said, well, no, she says she does care about you a lot.
Right.
In fact, I called this man's wife last night at about 3 in the morning because I knew I was worried about him, and I knew his wife was worried about him too. So I wanted to tell her what I thought, how he might need to be in the hospital.
Wow.
And, my husband can verify this because he's right here, but, at 3 in the morning, I'm on the phone calling this woman whose husband is depressed and wanting to find out how he's doing and what she's doing to help him and whether or not he can go to the hospital and stuff like that.
So pretty much, a lot of people don't know that your job is pretty much 24 hours sometimes. You got some patients that a doctor never sleeps, almost like,
It's true. When you go into medicine, somebody said to me, you marry medicine in a way.
Yeah.
You sort of marry it because it becomes such an important part of your life.
Yeah.
And I love being a doctor. I just love trying to help people, and usually I succeed. Most people get better.
Yeah.
But it's just a wonderful profession. And I also think I mentioned Dr. Silverman. I wanted to mention him again.
Yeah.
He's chairman of the department at MCV, and he's been a wonderful role model.
Yeah.
One of the people at the hospital said to me once, how come you wear a white jacket all the time? Well, Monica knows that I do. I usually do when I'm seeing patients, but it's because of Dr. Silverman, because he always wore a white jacket.
Yeah.
And he's a psychiatrist. And psychiatry is, as he said in one of his lectures, it is a specialty of medicine. So you have to be a medical doctor to be a psychiatrist.
Yeah.
But I'm just really proud of the profession. I love what I do. And some people talk about retiring. I don't want to retire.
Yeah.
Because what would I do? They say on TV, when you retire, you can do what you really want to do.
Yeah.
Which is true, but I'm really doing what I want to do now.
You're happy.
So I don't want to retire.
So you're not going to take Mark Rubio's thing, keep going?
I don't know. I didn't hear him say that, but
I'm
I like
just
him.
joking.
I like him very much.
Yeah, I'm just joking. I just like to throw a little politics in there. I'm still fired up.
You know a lot about politics,
Yeah,
Monica.
I know that's another topic. We're here talking about depression. Yeah, but another thing I want to talk about that you brought up was inspirations. I found this at a neat little. And you have them all over your office.
I
So
know.
I had a
do.
surprise for you. So I just knew you would like this one. I saw this at a little niche shop. It says, "Good friends are like stars. You don't always see them, but you know they're always there." It's like a little.
That's great.
Yeah, it's like a little saying, and I know you have beautiful little sayings and inspiration quotes. So I see you have so many in your office. So is that something you carry with yourself? You know, like little inspiration quotes to cheer people up? Is that a way to?
Well, if I've seen some of those things in the bookstore at the hospital where I work, which is St. Mary's Hospital in Richmond.
Yeah.
But in the bookstore, I've seen some, and if I think they might help my patients, I'll just buy them.
Yeah.
And you're not that expensive, but they have things that really help you. And so one of my patients got one for me that says, "If you're down, ask Dr. Mimi," something like that. So I put that on the wall in my office. But it's really funny that a lot of these things can help people. They're like common sense sort of things. But some people don't think sensibly. They don't think common sense is not something everybody has a lot of.
Yeah.
And but there are common sense things that help people a lot. Like, you know, getting a job and reading a book. You've mentioned books.
Yeah.
I think they're very helpful to people if they're depressed. And I always have a book. I gave a lecture once on depression. I had a book in my pocketbook, took it out.
But you know what, Dr. Pizzani, you're very good on this. I hope you will come back and do lectures because you really are very natural at this. I really think I'm going to see about this. This topic is really good. I could talk all day about it. But the nature of it is just not only just depression. We can talk about a whole list of things and topics. It's just the one thing I wanted to talk to you about alcoholism. That's connection with depression.
It's definitely connected.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a few patients who are alcoholic, and I said, "Tell me about your alcoholism. When did you start drinking? And most of them say they were really depressed about something. One woman said her mother died, and she was really depressed about it, and she had to go get her mother's stuff and pack it up, and she couldn't go back. She didn't want to go back to her house. She didn't want to do that. She said it was too upsetting. So we talked about it, and she wound up getting a friend to go back and start packing it up for her, and then she finished. But it's really hard sometimes to live life. I mean, like I have one patient that I saw today, he's sure he's going to get fired from his job. I said, "Well, maybe you won't get fired from your job." He said, "Well, I'm sure I will be." So he's looking for other jobs already. But it's really hard when people lose their jobs and that's their source of.
That's what I want to talk to you about is the copingism is how can somebody cope with the failure? You know, it's like that's the biggest challenge when that happened to me because all my life I was told because firstborns. That's one topic I wanted to get on. It's the stigma that as being the firstborn is placed so much on you, and failure, and it's like you feel so much weight on you. And I think when you failed, and you feel like a loser, and then I guess you get slumped down, and then how do you cope with that? And it's almost like you got to tell the mind, okay, I know I'm stuck in there. How can I get back to the top,
Yeah. Well, see, you can do that, Monica.
Yeah.
You are by doing shows like this.
Yeah.
And you're active into politics.
Yeah.
You're active in a lot of things that bring you up.
Yeah. What do we got to keep? Do you tell people to find a hobby, or what do you kind of tell your patients if they have a problem? What do you suggest them to do?
I tell them to get a hobby they enjoy. And I think it's important to have a job you enjoy. If you have to work, and I love my job, so it's not such a difficulty to get up and go to work because I love what I'm doing.
You're right.
And it's really important to love what you do. It's really important. And I think if everybody loved what they do, they wouldn't be as depressed as some people are.
Yeah.
But when people lose their jobs, or like I saw somebody today who thinks he's going to lose his job and he's already looking for other jobs, I said, well, you know, you have a lot of good experience, so you'll probably get another good job.
Yeah.
He had a good job. But people can get good jobs if they, you know, you have to think about what you're doing and what, you know, how you're building your resume by what you're doing. You know, everything you do can go on your resume.
Well, let me ask you something, Dr. Pizzani. How do you deal with a parent lose a child and they go into depression? Have you had any patients that suffered that?
Yes, I have. I think that's horrible, though.
Yeah.
I have 2 children, and I worry about them all the time.
Yeah.
I'm just worried that they might hurt themselves.
Yeah.
Not both of them, but one of them. So, you know, I get him to see a psychiatrist, and he gets on medication, and I pray that'll help him. But you never know, really.
Yeah.
You never really know. I had one friend who was a pediatrician, and his son was doing well in college. He thought he was doing well in college. And then he came home on Christmas vacation, and he strangled himself.
Oh,
he found his son hanging in his house. And that must have been really horrible to go through.
Yeah.
But I think if people have family that can help them through things like that, like his wife is a very good person, and I saw them, in fact, Saturday night, my husband and I went out to dinner, and in the restaurant, there he was with his wife.
Yeah.
So, you know, I said hello, and it's really, what does that mean?
Okay, keep going. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I can keep going.
Yeah.
Oh, this is great because you've given me an opportunity to talk to people about depression.
Yeah.
And it's a big part of my life, treating people with depression. But I love doing it. It's wonderful when people get better. Like, I can see you're getting better right now, and the fact that you're doing this is helping you get better.
Yes, actually, doing Real Talk with Monica, I didn't know it, Dr. Pizzani. It would be almost a year in November. I didn't know that picture that I showed and the producer Leroy just emphasized. I sat right here on this stage, and my partner Michael A. Hall, I call him Mike A. Hall. I sat there and I shared my story. I was nervous on camera. I didn't know what I was going to say and what. And I almost cried. And I said, I think this is what God told me I'm going to do. And I showed the picture of my grandmother. And I said, I think I want to have Real Talk with Monica. I uttered those words.
That's great.
And I didn't know what I was saying or what I was going to do. And the 2 producers at the time, they said, we don't know what's going on, but we think we see a superstar here. I said, what are you talking about? And the guy said, you a natural on camera. I said, man, wait a minute, I don't know what you're talking about. And I never been on camera before. He said, you just come natural. I said, because I'm speaking from the heart. And I told him that I was raised right. I was raised on hard work, hard values, dedication. And I told him I had a lot of tragedy. I told him what happened, my life and death story. I didn't tell him all of that stuff that happened. I say that for the book. Real Talk with Monica in the book, later on coming down the road. But I told him it's a process. And you know somewhat of my journey. But I love what I was doing. And when I was in your office taking your photo, and I said, I didn't know how we were going to do this promo, and it came together with the music. And I was telling my partner, Mike A. Hall, I said, Dr. Pizzani, excuse my language, viewers. I said, she look damn good. I love doing what I do. I said, the topics, what I do, is a passion that I have. It's burning. So when I talked to you that Thursday, we were setting things up. I said, I see what you were saying. You love what you're doing. I didn't have nothing but 3 hours of sleep just this past last night, working on my PhD, then setting up things for this show. I'm running around like my head cut off and doing this and this. And I said, I got to make sure this thing is going to be right. And God said it's going to be right because you got the right guests. And let me tell you another thing, Dr. Pizzani. You didn't hesitate when I asked you to be on this show. Some people I can ask to be on this, they think they already Oprah Winfrey or something. And you was like, yo, come on. And I was telling my girlfriend, let me give a shout out to her, Miss Essie Davis. She got me my hair together, and my girls at Lady Nails off of Williamsburg Road, they got my nails done. I'm pink, supporting breast cancer awareness.
Yeah, a person pink today.
Yeah, and Dr. Pizzani, I told her make sure she have her pink, so we in honor of that. And I was telling her that I had a vision that this thing is going to be much bigger. And I told Dr. Pizzani in the office, and I showed her that one comment, and she said, these people don't even know me, and they already love me. I said, the way you present, because people see you in your element. Your face is smiling. They see your spirit. And when you have good spirit and good energy, they gravitated. And people were so excited. And I know it's going to be a success on YouTube. I know it is. And people was excited. But I know some people that can't reach the show because we just locally here in Virginia. I got friends in Australia, Poland, Brazilian. Sometimes I translate the language in their language so they can understand me. Jamaica and all this. Seriously, Dr. Pizzani, they didn't even know they started liking you. And they're going to support the show. And that's what my vision and goal with this show is, to be international. And I just hope that, and it's all started here in Comcast. And I give them all the praise to God that I want this to be just not only here, but to be bigger. Because Virginia has a lot of talent here, but the thing is, it's just locally. But I wish my viewers, they was like, wish we could have satellite to beam you in. And they can call and talk to you. They did, seriously. They did. I have to cut my phone off, Dr. Pizzani. They be wanting to talk to me. And I'm like, I can't talk to you. Yeah, I got to do the show live. They want to beam in the satellite to talk to me. But I don't have the financial means right now, but God said it's coming. But it all started here, and through the process and journey, I'm battling through depression. I ain't done yet because I still got more battles to go. But I want people to know that even though you're still battling with something every day, it's a process moving forward, but you need to have good people in your circle, and this one lady is one of them. You need to have good people around you, and you do. And when you start building a good circle and good energy, it helps you to overcome your battle each day. And she's right. And I tell anybody that, and me and Dr. Pizzani, me and her in battle sometimes, and that's just like family. You battle, and then you turn around, you hug you the next day. That's how real family, friends, or anything around. You go through the good and bad times. That's how you know you got good people around you. And that's what it is, Dr. Pizzani. When you go through an illness, that's how it is. A doctor knows when that's not Monica. That's not Monica. That's not my Monica. That's not Dr. Pizzani. She's not well. That's how you know you got a good doctor. And that's kind of hard to find these days. Somebody that loves their profession. That will go all out. And like you said, you picking up the phone 3 o'clock in the morning. That's dedication.
Well, yeah.
That's dedication.
I know that I care about my patients, and they know that I care about them. I hope they know.
Yeah.
But, you know,
if they don't, they know now.
They know now.
Yeah.
Well, you know, when I called this woman at 3 o'clock, and I said, I'm sorry to wake you up, but I'm really worried about your husband. And she said, well, so am I. And I know she is.
And that's what I hope these people know, that we're talking about depression, but seriously, we need to talk about getting good doctors that care and get the counseling you want and to care about your well-being, because You need good friends and you need good counselors around you, because when you go through good and bad, don't have people around you when you're doing good, okay? But when you're doing bad, you need people around you even more, like Dr. Pizzani said, because when you're doing bad, that's when you need people even more.
I agree.
Even more, Dr. Pizzani, because people are fragile, at a fragile state.
I agree.
And they're at a breaking point. Is that correct, Dr. Pizzani?
Oh, yeah, that's correct.
When you ask somebody on the phone, are you on a scale, what, the 1 to 10, and are you on a suicide? You ask them, right?
Right.
You ask them this question, what you say? You need to see medical attention, right, Danny?
Right, yeah. If you're feeling suicidal, you definitely need help. And you need probably to be in the hospital.
Yeah. But, I mean,
to keep you safe. When you're in the hospital, usually you don't kill yourself in the hospital.
Right.
Most of the time, you don't.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of people in the hospital that can help you, nurses, other doctors, mental health technicians. They do group therapy in the hospital. And you can talk about your problems in group and then find out, then other people can help you.
Right.
Other patients can help you too.
So what's typically like a session with you if like, say for instance, if I was a patient with you and somebody was at a depression, how long do you think the treatment will last for a typical patient? It just depends on their situation?
It really depends on the patient.
Okay.
Sometimes I've seen some patients for years. I mean, I have one patient I've seen for 15 years, I think. I still see her every week.
So, see, some people don't say it's not just an easy thing that you can just say, oh, okay, take a few sessions and hey, you're done.
No. It might take, as I said just now, it might take years to get better. But, you know, thank God that my patient who I've had for 15 years, I sent her to a psychoanalyst also, who psychiatrists and psychoanalysts have more training than psychiatrists. It took a long time for me to become a psychiatrist, 12 years. But a psychoanalyst has even more training than that.
So what's the difference between them?
They have more training.
Oh, okay.
They have more training. So to become an analyst, it's like 8 additional years.
Oh, okay.
Something at least like that. So I called one of my friends, a colleague, a psychoanalyst, about this patient that I was worried about. And I asked him to see her, and he did. Then I asked him what he thought about her, and he said, I think that if you stop seeing her, she's going to commit suicide. So I've never stopped seeing her. And I said to myself, well, I'm never going to stop seeing her, ever. You know, and I had a patient once who she was very depressed about her parents and her religion and all sorts of stuff like that. So she lived in Florida, and she was going to be 18. She was going on 18. She was 17 when I was treating her. She was said, by the time I'm 18, I'll be dead.
Wow.
So I said, no, you won't. So I said, I'm going to take you out to dinner or to lunch on your 18th birthday. So what happened was she was going to be 18. I had the date. So I went to her, where she was living in Florida, and I took her out to dinner there in Florida. And she's still alive. Wow. She's doing fine. Thank God. But I mean, it's important to be able to do things like that sometimes. You know, you have to go out of your way to help people and to show them that you care.
Right.
That you care. And not everybody cares about people. You do. I do, but a lot of people don't.
Yeah.
You have to find people who do care.
Yeah, and that's a very good take that you had just mentioned. Another thing, where do people can find you at your office? Where are you located at?
At St. Mary's Hospital in Richmond. It's 5855 Bremo Road. I'm in Suite 101 on the first floor, and I've been there for 35 years. And I just love it. I love working there. People there are very nice, and the other doctors are nice, and the people that go there are nice. So, you know, it's just a friendly place to work.
You taking any new patients now?
Yes.
Okay. So if anybody want to take in, so you can also give Dr. Pizzani and she can see you if you need any help, and she's waiting and willing to get in to call you. Another thing I wanted to mention about is what would you, okay, we got 10 minutes left, guys. If you want to give any questions or any comments, man, we can have this girl chat all day long. This is a great segment. I know it's going to be popular, and I'm going to see about having this set up to go to the mental health segments all throughout the state, so it can be a good topic and see it can get some airplay, because this is a very good discussions and go nationwide, so we can have more discussions on this topic. One question I want to ask you, Dr. Pizzani, is that do you see a lot of young patients coming to you?
Well, yeah, I'm a child psychiatrist,
Okay,
also, child and adolescent, so I did extra training to be able to do that. And I have my father to thank for that, because when he was alive, he said, maybe you ought to specialize, maybe you ought to think about becoming a child psychiatrist. So I got the training. 2 extra years of training, and I'm really glad I did. I went to the Virginia Treatment Center for Children, did a fellowship there. That's 515 North 10th Street in Richmond. And I went there, and I, saw a lot of kids. And I remember the kids I saw. I remember one little boy, he sucked his thumb all the time. So nobody wanted to touch him or anything, because he always had a wet finger from sucking his thumb all the time. But I was his doctor. He was given to me as a patient. So, we used to play in the sandbox. They had a sandbox at the hospital. And we played in the sandbox, and we buried his problems. We buried his problems in the sandbox. Well, I also saw, he talked to me about somebody he named Babu. It turns out Babu really was somebody in his family that he didn't like. So we buried that person in the sandbox.
Wow.
But, you can do a lot of things with people if you really want to. You can do a lot of things that help people, and hopefully you don't do anything that hurts people. When we become doctors, we take an oath that we will never do harm to anybody.
Yes.
We take that oath, and it's a very old oath by a doctor who lived thousands of years ago, but we have to take it when we graduate from medical school.
Let me ask you something. Do you see a lot of kids being depressed because with social media and stuff going on? And I was talking to my partner, Michael Hall, that with the cyberbully and way kids are vicious now, and I said, man, I couldn't be a child in this environment. Have you talked to some of your patients about this new age with this Facebooking and the bad cyberbullying and putting stuff on there?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, I too see patients who are bullied.
Yeah,
but they say they're being bullied, and I listen to them, and that probably helps them a lot just to talk about it.
Yeah.
And I remember when I was a child, some of my classmates used to call me Smiley because I smile a lot. I still do.
Yeah.
And I smile a lot, and so he called me Smiley.
Well, by the way, you have a great smile.
Thank you. But I went into a shoe store in Manhattan, and there was this guy who called me Smiley. His name was Howard. I won't say his last name.
Yeah.
But he was a shoe salesman in Manhattan. So I went into the shoe store, and I said, "Hi, Howard. It's me, Smiley." He said, "How are you, Smiley?" He wouldn't tell me shoes. But I was just not happy to have that name.
Right.
It was sort of not a good thing to have, but, I'd rather have that than be called something worse.
Yeah.
You could be called a lot worse.
Yeah.
Is that our time up?
No, almost about the time is up. Just we got a few more seconds, so just want to keep going on a few more things. They'll let us know when our time is almost up. But a couple more things we wanted to get at is what will you find some of the challenges that you find in your field in psychiatry? Some of the challenges.
Well, the challenges are to, what did it say?
Right, some of your challenges.
Some of the challenges are that you have to, I have to be at work on time and be there on time for my patients. Sometimes I'm running late, as you know. But sometimes, you have to be there and you have to not give up on anybody. If you're in psychiatry, you cannot give up. You have to feel like you're going to succeed and get that person better. And most of my patients do get better.
Right.
So if you find the right drug, antidepressant for them, and if you find the right type of treatment for them, they get better. So depression is not a fatal illness. It's treatable, very treatable.
Right.
Very treatable, so it's not a terminal illness. It should not be. Nobody should die from depression.
Right.
Everybody should live.
And that is a very good true thing. And like nobody should die from depression. And we want to make sure that nobody. That's why we had this topic. That's why we have the wonderful, distinguishing guest, Dr. Miriam K. Pizzani. If you didn't know, she's right off of St. Mary's, off of Bremen Road. You can check it out. She'd be willing to take new patients. And like you said, if you got any of the problems, she's any mental health illness, she's willing to take you on. And she's willing and like I said, she was rated as one of the top doctors in her professions. And so just come on out and check it out. And like I said, guys, because Real Talk with Monica will be coming back on in the next couple of weeks. Next week will be Mike's Variety Hour. He have a wonderful guest. And man, it's going to be a firecracker. I ain't going to let you say it. I'll let it come out right then and there, guys. Because it's always a pleasure to be back on air, guys. And because Real Talk with Monica is one of the up-and-coming things that's coming on. So, Real Talk with Monica will be coming back on Comcast on November the 13th. And also on November the 20th, guys. We got wonderful guests coming up. And guys, continue to support me. And because I'm always going to be the next hottest thing out there on YouTube. Because that's Real Talk with Monica. Monica, Real Talk Monica, Real Talk Monica. Real Talk Monica, Real Talk Monica, Real Talk Monica. Real Talk Monica, Real Talk Monica, Real Talk Monica. Real Talk Monica, Real Talk Monica, Real Talk Monica. Real Talk Monica, Real Talk Monica, Real Talk Monica. Real Talk Monica, Real Talk Monica, Real Talk Monica.